Okay, so this next question comes from Jakeem. Do you think action cartoons will ever make a comeback on TV networks? Maybe they will someday, but now it's very unlikely. For some reason, TV networks just don't want that type of genre anymore, and just want to stick to doing the cheap ass cartoons because they're lazy. If you want to watch good action shows, I suggest you watch Voltron the Legendary Defender, The Dragon Prince, Castlevania, or Young Justice. If you want the action cartoon genre to make a comeback, support these shows. Next question, which game do you prefer, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 or Dragon Ball Z Fighters? Both the games are great, but maybe for my nostalgia I prefer Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. But Dragon Ball Fighters is still a great game. And thoughts on the Bruce Falconer score? Dude, I am such a sucker for the Bruce Falconer score. I know some people didn't like it, but some of the themes like Vegeta the Church Bells or Gohan versus Cell's theme are fucking good. I would love for him to come back to do more scores for Dragon Ball Super. That is if they make a new series. But he won't because of issues with Toei Animation. And that really sucks. Next question comes from Clarsen Lopez. What's your favorite season of Power Rangers in space? And what's your favorite year for the WWE? The year 2000. Just a great roster, great pay-per-views, great storylines, and just all around a great year. And what are some of your favorite PS2 games? Dude, we can be here all day. Devil May Cry 3, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, God of War, Okami, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, Twisted Metal Black, and I can go on. Next question comes from Misfortune Karma. What do you think Cartoon Network would be like if Jim Samples never left? I personally think they wouldn't be as good as they were back in the early 2000s, but it would sure as hell be a lot better than now. For what I believe, I think he would keep certain shows 22 minutes long. There would definitely be variety in the schedule. Action cartoons would still be a thing. I know that before Jim Samples left the network, that he was looking to bring in more live action shows. I mean, I wouldn't be a fan of it, but I think it would be better than what Stuart Snyder was going for. But I'm sure he would have gone back to making the network all animated again. We probably would have gotten a Teen Titans Season 6 by now. The City Era bumpers, I'm sure, would have gone away because of the fact that they were pretty expensive. And I do think that Galactic Kids Next Door would have already been greenlit. And that's just my general idea on what I think the network would have been like had he not resigned. Number 2, do you agree that Christina Miller is worse than Stuart Snyder? No shit. And look, this is not a praise of Stuart Snyder, because I'm still not a fan of him, because while he was improving the network in 2010, he still canceled shows like Symbionic Titan, Young Justice, Green Lantern the Animated Series, and the Thundercats 2011 show. However, seeing where Miller has taken the network, it's honestly the worst I've ever seen it. At least when Stuart Snyder was president, there was still variety in the schedule. There were still action shows, and he at least learned from his mistakes. Christina Miller, on the other hand, has done absolutely nothing but oversaturate the network with Teen Titans Go, and greenlit 3 cheap-ass reboots. Now, I will say this, she has done a few good things like reviving Samurai Jack and green lighting Infinity Train, but the bad outweighs the good. And ever since she's been there, she's done nothing but mostly harm for the network. Look at the ratings. That's an indicator that she's fucking up big time. Number 3, do you agree that the City era was the best era for Cartoon Network? I don't know if I would say it was the best era, but it certainly was a great time to be a Cartoon Network fan. I personally prefer the Powerhouse era, simply because I wasn't a fan of some of the cartoons that came out during the City era, and I wasn't a huge fan of them replacing Toonami for Maguzi, even though I didn't hate Maguzi. But aside from that, it was still a great time to be a Cartoon Network fan. And those City bumpers were an excellent way to show the variety they had. And just seeing those cartoon characters from different shows interacting with each other was just great. Next question comes from a good friend of mine, Perfect Welch. And he asked, favorite Dragon Ball Z villain and favorite WrestleMania? I've already answered my favorite WrestleMania, and that's WrestleMania 17. And my favorite Dragon Ball Z villain is a tie between Cell and Cooler. They're both great, but if I had to choose, it'd be Cell. Next question comes from Ryan Barth. Favorite movie? Since I love action movies, I'd say Terminator 2 or Aliens. Both films of which were directed by James Cameron, before he became the overrated director he is now. It's really a tough choice, but if I had to choose, I'd say Aliens. But Terminator 2 still holds a special place in my heart. Next question comes from D-Kila. So you think once that bitch Christina Miller is gone, that Cartoon Network will improve? Hopefully we see improvement. I personally would bring back Jim Samples, but that's unlikely it'll ever happen. I do hope that whoever the next president is, that he knows what he's doing and shows a strong improvement in the network. I'm not asking for much, but if he listens to the fans' complaints about the network and looks to fix that, then we are not going to have a problem here. And number 2, do you agree that Toonami went downhill once Maguzi replaced it? Yeah, I kinda think it did. And I don't hate Maguzi, but once the block replaced it, Toonami was never the same ever again. And it's mainly for the fact that you had to watch Toonami once a week, and later on the ratings got lower. But yeah, I kinda think it was their downfall. Next question comes from Mr. Good Taste. Which WWE game franchise do you prefer? The SmackDown games on the PS2 or the WWE GameCube games? The SmackDown franchise. The WWE GameCube games were fun, but didn't have as much features as the SmackDown games. Number 2. When did you think South Park started to go downhill for you? I'd say around Season 9. Because when it returned for Season 9, the animation had become soulless and bland. Jerk-ass Homer made his debut, and they threw away a good 8 years of character development for the wacky storyline about Skinner. The ending of the episode is absolute dog shit. They basically swept the entire thing under the rug and say, let's never mention this again. And number 3, what are your thoughts on Mortal Kombat 11? I'm extremely hyped, dude. This next question comes from a guy whose name is literally Piss. What are your thoughts on the Smark era in WWE? Don't care for it, and it's just more reasons for me not to want to come back. Next question comes from Rebecca Olsen, and she asks, who's your favorite character from Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Spike. And what are your thoughts on the new Kim Possible movie? Don't care for it. Okay, so this next question comes from Siler Knee 7 réd-GUILTY. What are your top favorite video game franchises? Devil May Cry, Doom, Kingdom Hearts, Resident Evil, and Mortal Kombat. 2. What are your favorite cartoons and anime? For cartoons, they're Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, SWAT Cats, Invader Zim, Daria, Transformers, Beast Wars, and many more. For anime, they're Dragon Ball Z, Death Note, Yu Yu Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin, Berserk, and I can go on. And 3. What are your top favorite superheroes? Batman, Spider-Man, and Wolverine. Next question comes from Meetan. What are your thoughts on people who say you're blinded by nostalgia if you bash anything new? To me, they're stupid. Yeah, I agree. I personally have been called a nostalgia tard because I bashed the Cartoon Network reboots. And here's the thing. I don't hate for the sake of hating them. I hate them because they don't do it right. I have praised modern cartoons that were reboots like DuckTales, Voltron the Legendary Defender, and of course the Thundercats 2011 cartoon. Those are prime examples for how you do a good reboot right. The Powerpuff Girls, Ben 10 2016, and especially Thundercats Roar is not how you do it. Thundercats 2011 is how you do a modern day Thundercats show. Thundercats Roar is not how you do it. Because when I look at that show, it seems like it took several steps back from what made Thundercats a great show. Oh, but I'm a nostalgia tard for bashing something new? Just because it's new doesn't always make it good. I'm actually a person that likes the 2011 Thundercats and Voltron the Legendary Defender more than the original. And the original Voltron and Thundercats were shows I've seen on Toonami way back in the late 90s and early 2000s. Look, I'm not gonna sit there and say I like it. I'm gonna give my honest opinion and that's it. And look, I'm not a person that wants to live in the past. I want cool new stuff. And that's all. Give me some good shit and we don't have a problem. So far, it's 2019, and I can honestly say we are kicking off the year great. We have the new Resident Evil 2 remake, we have Young Justice Outsiders, Kingdom Hearts 3, I'm looking forward to the 3rd season of Castlevania, we have Mortal Kombat 11, Doom Eternal, and especially Devil May Cry 5 around the corner. There's so much things I'm looking forward to this year, and some that I'm not. Like the new Aladdin movie, the Captain Marvel movie, and Thundercats Roar. But at least I have a lot of things coming out this year that I know I'm gonna enjoy.